Hello, welcome to my short video about the Neutral Labs Scrooge. If you've landed here, it's probably because you've seen some other videos showing all the amazing things this synthesizer can do, and you're wondering, should I buy the DIY kit or should I buy a ready-made version? I think it should be obvious by the quality of this video that I'm not being paid by Neutral Labs at all. I bought this kit myself. I'm just making this video for the fun of it. The Neutral Labs website says that somebody with beginner to intermediate soldering skills should be able to build this kit, which I think is probably my level, but I wasn't completely sure whether I would be able to build it, how difficult it really is, and I couldn't actually find any information from anybody who'd already built it online, which is part of the reason why I decided to make this video. Building the kit involves soldering on all of the components you can see on the front panel here. So these are the jack sockets, all of the pots, and these switches with the LED lights on them. In addition, there is a capacitor behind here somewhere, and the two LEDs behind the X and Y here. They have to be soldered onto board as well. I now turn the board over so you can see the PCB itself. All of these SMDs, the chips and the tiny resistors, they're already soldered on, so you don't need to do those. What you do need to do are the two power supply connectors, so the Euro rack and the desktop version. The soldering iron I used is a pointed one like this. I just put the ruler there for scale so you can see how big it is. Some of the solders are quite tiny, so I wouldn't recommend using anything bigger than this. That would make it quite difficult, I think. Before starting the build, I printed off the component list and spent some time checking that everything was included in the kit, and also made some notes so that I could tell which part was which. After that, it was time to start the build. Most of it's fairly straightforward, and the instructions are very good, but I had some difficulty with these, for example. These two here are the LEDs for the push buttons on the front. There's a whole row of them. And there's a hole in the board where the wires come through, and a very thin metal contact that you have to solder to. It was very difficult to get a good contact and get a good solder there. So care has to be taken. Additionally, some of the SMDs are very close to where you need to solder. For example, here. So you should be very economical with the amount of solder you use to make sure it doesn't spread, and solder the SMDs as well. Some other tricky ones are the three solders there in the middle, which are connected to the pots on the front. They're very close together, and in some cases like here I just carefully scratched with a knife to make sure that there was no contact between them. An unusual part of the build is using a piece of PCB as a spacer between the front panel and the main board. It doesn't need to make an electrical contact, it's just using solder to physically hold it in place. So it doesn't actually look very good, but I think it works alright. Now that it's finished, I'm happy to say when I plugged it in, there were some flashing lights and no smoke coming out of it. And if I connect it up to some speakers, press play, it's doing something. So now I just got to work out how to use it. One thing to note which made me despair almost, when I plug it in with this one, which has fast adaptive charging, it sounds fine with the headphones, but when plugged into the speakers there's a huge amount of mains noise. But if I use this other one for the power supply, then there's no problem. So if that happens to you, then try changing the power supply. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this little video helps you decide whether you want to go for the kit version or the ready-made version. Thanks.